quello. Questo, this, and quello, that are actually adjective like buono, like bello, caro, brutto, etc., etc. So, as the other adjective that you already studied, they have four forms. So let's start with questo. So, questo, then questa, questi for the plural, and queste. Perfect. So you use questo in front of a singular and masculine, so it would be like questo uomo. You use questa in front of a singular and feminine, questa donna. You use questi in front of plural masculine, questi ragazzi, and you use queste in front of feminine and plural, queste ragazze. So you see they work exactly like the other adjectives that you already studied. So you have O for the masculine and singular, A for feminine and singular, E, English I, for the plural masculine, and E, English E, for the plural feminine. Now let's see quello, that. Is exactly the same. So we have quello, we have quella, we have quelli, and we have quelle. Okay, theoretically it's exactly the same, but with quello, unfortunately, something is changing a little bit. Since quello follows exactly the same path of the definite article. Remember, we spoke about that. And the definite article is what? Lo, il, la, le, plural, gli, etc. So it follows exactly the same path. So let's see what this means. Now, let me make this one a little bigger. Okay, first of all, you see there are always place in front of the noun. Okay, so when we were talking about the article, remember we had to choose one form or the other based on what? On the gender, number, but also the first letter of the noun. And with quello, it's going to happen exactly the same thing. Okay, so where you have lo in front of a noun, you will have quello. So let me just take one word. Remember, for example, studente. So studente, remember why you have to use lo in front of studente to say the same thing that in English is the student. You use lo because studente starts with S plus consonant. So in front of a word like studente, you must use lo when you use the definite article. And if you want to say that student, you will have to follow the same kind of rule. So you will use quello. Why quello? Because studente starts with S plus consonant. The same thing you have to do when the word starts with PS. Okay, remember, and also we said Z. Okay, so for example, if you want to say that psychologist, you have to say quello psicologo. And if you want to say that uncle, you have to say quello zio. Why? Because if you want to say that psychologist or that uncle, you will use lo psicologo, lo zio. Okay, so now let's see when you have to use quill. You use quill when you use il. So if you have to say that professor. So that's why you will use quel, because in front of professor, you will use il professore. So review the article if you don't remember this. Professore starts with a consonant, but is not S plus consonant, is not PS. Let me add here S plus consonant. It's not PS, it's not Z. So all the other consonants, so you have to use il for singular and masculine. So it will be quel professore, and so on. So let's just take another word. Let's say you want to say that dog. Dog in Italian is cane. Cane start with a C, with a consonant, but C is not S plus consonant. It's not PS and it's not Z, so you will have to use quel cane, because if you want to say that dog, it will be il cane. So remember the equivalence that you have between the article and the demonstrative. Okay, same thing happened with L apostrophe. Where you would have L apostrophe, you would have quill with two L and the apostrophe. So you see the example here, quell'amico and quell'amica, because if you want to say that friend or that girlfriend, the boyfriend and the girlfriend, it would be l'amico with L apostrophe, l'amica with L apostrophe. So if you want to say that boyfriend, that girlfriend, it must be quell'amico, quell'amica. Now, let's talk about the feminine singular, quella. Let's take one word that is feminine, that is singular, like here we have, like professoressa. So, if you want to say that professor, talking about a woman, it would be la professoressa. So, if you want to say that professor, again, talking about a woman, it would be quella professoressa, because quella must be used where you would use la. And same thing is with the plural masculine, okay? Sorry, here, I'm sorry, there was a little mistake, so it's quelli, okay. So where you would use gli, like in the case in front of amici, amici, so why? Because you use gli in the plural, starting with a vowel, because gli is the equivalent of the singular L apostrophe. Remember l'amico or gli amici. And in the case of gli, when you use the demonstrative, you must use quelli. So the friends is gli amici. Those friends is quegli amici. Okay. Now let's see I, English I, and the equivalent for the demonstrative quei. So if you want to say the boys, you must use quei ragazzi. Why? Because if you want to say the boys, it would be I ragazzi. So remember the equivalence between I and quei. The last one is quelle. When do you use quelle? You use quelle with feminine and plural, where you would have le. Actually, quelle is the only possibility for feminine and plural, as le is the only possibility for feminine and plural. So every time you have a feminine plural noun and you want to say those referring to a feminine plural noun, it will be quelle. The same way, if you will want to express the in front of a plural feminine noun, it would always be in Italian le. So you will say le ragazze, quelle ragazze, le studentesse, quelle studentesse, le professoresse, quelle professoresse, eccetera.